of Up Close with Colin Thompson is brought to you by the Port Royal Golf Course.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. I'm your host Colin Thompson. Today we'll be putting the emphasis on the Butterfield Bermuda Championship and three very talented Bermudians who play an integral role putting all of the pieces together behind the scene to ensure the PGA Tour event's success. And now without further ado, I would like to introduce to my immediate left, Mr. Javon Roberts, Assistant Tournament Director. To my far left is Mr. Stephen Lambert Jr., and he's the Port Royal Golf Course Golf Head Professional. And in the middle is his assistant, Mr. Andrew Trott Francis. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you on board today.
Good evening, Colin. Thank you, Colin. Nice to be here.
Yeah, Mr. Roberts,
yes, sir.
We're just over a week away from the big dance, the big party.
We are.
You and your colleagues must be excited.
Yeah, we're certainly excited. You know, we're preparing to put on another great event. You know, and we're looking forward to showing off what we can do.
Now, obviously, this is like I mentioned, PGA Tour sanctioned event. This is a big one, and I'm sure there's a lot of hype in the community. Who's the field? Who's going to be out there? How are things shaping up? You know, who's confirmed at this point?
So we have a few people who've been here before. We have quite a few new faces. We are releasing Luke Donald, who's next year's European Ryder Cup captain. He's in our field. We have Seamus Power, who's an Irishman. He loves Bermuda, a huge fan of Bermuda, a huge fan of the golf course. He will be returning. And Lucas Glover, who's been here when we had the Grand Slam of Golf. He won the U.S. Open in 2008, I believe, at Bethpage. He'll be returning. And then we have our Brian Gay, our second champion, and Brendan Todd, our inaugural champion, will be returning as well.
So it's shaping up very, very nicely. Right?
It is.
A lot of intrigue around the field, and the hype is certainly building. And definitely exciting times for you because this is going to be your first one. I mean, you've been involved with this event for quite some time now, but this is actually your first one as assistant tournament director.
Yeah. It's exciting, a little bit nerve-wracking at the same time, but you know we have a really good team. So you know I have a really good team behind us. So I have no qualms about being able to put on a good event. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now, Mr. Lambert, obviously exciting times for you as well. Yes, you and your colleagues up there at Port Royal. Yes. How's it all coming along? How's it all coming together behind the scenes?
From what I can see, backing up Javon, we're right on schedule. I would almost say ahead of schedule. We're really enjoying it and hoping that it comes off the way that we think it will. Pretty much, like the first year did. We had a couple of trying years with, COVID and hurricanes, but this year we're right on task, and I think we should do pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And also, you mentioned hurricanes. I always think about that. This is that time of the year, knock on wood. But as well as Javon, this is also your first one as the head golf pro up at Port Royal. So does that make it extra special for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, there's only been 6 head golf professionals at Port Royal Golf Course. The recent one, very excited, very proud. Have my assistant Andrew with me as well. His first one, which I'm sure you'll ask him in a minute. But yeah, we're excited, and to be 3 young Bermudians at the top of our games at the biggest stage, you can't get any higher than this. It's amazing, really.
Yeah, and your first one, as your colleague just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're looking forward to it?
Can't wait. I like to be playing. I have to admit, but here I am. I'm still working. I'm still involved, and I'm still a part of the team that's gonna bring this to life and make it happen. And I'm proud to be a part of this team.
Mm-hmm. Now, Javon, as one of the, I would say integral parts of this whole mechanism, getting this event off and running, what does your role as assistant tournament director, what does that actually entail?
So my main roles are sponsorship and hospitality. So selling the hospitality packages. And then during the week of the tournament, I transitioned to probably the best part of the job is player relations. So I'm on the range, I'm on the putting green, I'm seeing what the guys might need. I'm fulfilling any requests that they might have if they need extra tickets for a spouse or friends, or giving them tips for dinner or talking golf, how to play the golf course. I have those interactions with them all week, and as a golf player, as a golf nut, that's probably the coolest part of the job for sure.
And Stephen, you guys have been doing this now, this is what, the 4th year, I believe.
Yes.
Is it any easier now, having, is there a template in place per se now, that you work off?
Like any other business, right? You have a spreadsheet with a list that you tick off from starting from September right through October. We take care of the clubhouse, the driving range, putting green, pretty much anything Javon needs and his team. It's much easier. And like I said, weather permitting, this is so far, knock on wood, like you said, has been the best one. I don't want to say the easiest, but the best one. Everybody seems to be on top of the game and ready to show Bermuda that, this is going to be the best out of the 4.
No, I had the privilege of being up there for the recent Moonlight, and then we had the local qualifier, and then the APGA Tour event. And I mean, the general consensus was that, the course was in fabulous shape. Everyone was talking about the greens, as plush as they look, they were lightning fast. And then the tees were way back, and some people would say this is the longest they've ever played.
Well, Andrew and I played, so we could speak to that. Yeah, it was. I know Javon wanted to be out there as well. It was tough. Going forward, we know what we need to do to try and be on the other side of the in the field next time. Yeah.
And how much goes into getting that course up there in that state? Because obviously you've got to meet PGA standards, and I'm sure they're high. How much goes into that, and when does those preparations really kick in?
They really kick in, I would say, end of August, September. Like with Andrew's help getting the clubhouse, painting the outside, the inside. Our boardroom turns into the rules officials office. Our caddy shop turns into the media center. Our halfway house, or I guess snack shop, turns into the
Flash media.
The flash media.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that people don't see. They just show up and they're like, oh wow, maybe that's like that all year. No, there's golf carts in that media room. It's pretty amazing how quick it turns around into a PGA Tour event.
And Andrew, what I've asked your colleagues about what their role entails as assistant. What are your primary responsibilities?
I'm more like the executioner. I take my orders directly from Mr. Lambert, and whatever he needs, I make sure it happens. So that goes from making sure the staff get lunch and dinner, as well as breakfast. Making sure the players, when they get off the bus, they're greeted and with the Bermuda greeting, and make sure they get their clubs, which are stored in the caddy shop. For the most part, some of them take them home, but make sure they have their clubs, make sure they get to the range. If anybody needs directions, anybody needs anything, really, any sort of request is not too big or too small. I just see to it that everybody is fluent, doing what they need to be doing, and that it's less pressure on Mr. Lambert. That's my main goal, to make sure he can do everything he needs to do without having to worry about some of the smaller items, if we want to call them small.
And what about some of the major players on the PGA Tour? You get to interact with them?
Yeah, I have a few that I've met through greeting them off the bus. Sepp Stracker's one of them, one of my favorites. I met him the first year. Joseph Brennan's another one who's really, really personable, and Harry Higgs, and it's a few others. But for the most part, it's athletes greeting athletes, and some of them went to rival schools that like Florida, Georgia. That's a rivalry. I'm a Florida fan. Most of them are Georgia Bulldogs. So we had a little banter amongst ourselves, but nothing to throw them off the game, because we're very respectful of the players and we understand they're here to work. So it's more about just networking and getting to know a few of them, who are a bit more personable, and if the opportunity presents itself, we have a chat or two.
And now, Javon, obviously, among the field, we have our local qualifiers. Who's going to be flying and carrying Bermuda's banner this year?
So we have Michael Sims he finished first in our qualifier, and then we have Jared Dillis, who's played. This will be his second time playing in the event, and then Nick Jones is making his maiden appearance this year as well. And then we have an exemption with Kim Swan, so he will be our fourth person in the field. So we're excited. We're hoping this year that our boys play well as they have before. And maybe this is, I don't want to put any pressure on our guys, but maybe this is the year where one of them gets through and makes a weekend. So all of Bermuda's going to be pulling for our guys, and I would encourage as many people to come out and support our boys like they do every year. So we're hoping for the best for them.
And I'm definitely knocking on wood for that too. I would love to see, one of our guys get through to the weekend. Go the distance, all 72 holes. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be an amazing story.
Yeah. Just a throwback to last year. I mean, Kamiko got racket on the back nine, 29.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that? Any one of you?
It's amazing. To think the way where he started the day, and when he got after that 9, he was 6 under. You felt like half of Bermuda was following him. It was just it was birdie after birdie after birdie.
And the eagle.
Yes.
Yeah, the eagle as well.
The eagle.
17.
He was what they call. He had the it factor in the time and in the zone, and yeah, it's probably one of the better 9s I've ever seen.
And he got a sure of a PGA Tour record.
Yeah.
That's a huge feat. It carries a lot of weight.
Yes, it does.
It does. It would have been great for him to really come through on the back 9 when he was finishing.
Yeah.
It didn't pan out that way, but it just shows what's available, what kind of talent that Bermuda has. And if he had more support, more backing, like I think that he would have pushed through. Like he's a great player.
Yes.
Most of them are the ones that have made it. But I'm excited to see Nick Jones and what he can do this year.
That's interesting because people in the gallery up there were saying that he is the type of player that's steady and can grind it out. So a lot of expectations on Nick.
And we can say for us, he works at Port Royal. He's one of the golf pros. He teaches juniors, adults, just like we do. And we're gunning for him because he's one of us. And we're hoping that that's the standard. If one person from Port Royal can make it a year, that'd be great. But he's hungry. So he's definitely put his away practicing right now. Come back and hopefully he's ready and he grinds it out and makes the weekend.
It was definitely a proud moment when he got through, and I spoke to him afterwards, and we touched on his dad, Nate Adley Jones, and the influence that he had on his career. He probably wouldn't be where he is today without his dad's influence. Exactly. And as he said, he struggled to hurl back the tour. So one of those moments in journalism where you really appreciate what you're doing, and it was a privilege to be there, not only for his crowning moment, but all the qualifiers. Last year it was Shaka and Damien, and like Javon said, Jared is back this year. And speaking about that, Javon, how does it feel for you? Because you love playing yourself, and I'm sure you like to be out there, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was when I decided not to try, not to do the qualifier. It was a struggle. It was something that I sat down and talked with my wife. I'm like, hey, what do you think? Should I do this or should I not do this? And just ultimately it came down to wanting to feel comfortable in my new position and making sure that I got everything done before I kind of focused on golf. So I wanted to get this first one under my belt before I went and tried to do 2 things at once, because the way my personality is, I get very fixated on like one thing, and if qualifying is my goal, then I want to put as much effort into that as I can as possible, and then other things will suffer. So I wanted to make sure that I was in a good position with the new position first, and then next year when I have a little better hang of it, I might make a different decision for next year.
Steve, is it a privilege for you guys to be hosting a PGA Tour event up there?
I mean,
at your venue?
For me, I went to golf school to become a golf professional, and we always talked about what happens if you end up working on a golf course with a PGA Tour event. What do you do? And I was the one sitting in the back of the class like, that ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? The Grand Slam of Golf was in Bermuda at the time, but a full-length tour event, and then to have us young Bermudians being a part of it, that's as high as you can get, unless we get like a new Grand Slam or something. But it's a dream come true for me.
Do you think the Grand Slam help plant the seed or sow the seeds for what was to follow. You know,
For sure, because
the championship.
100%.
I actually started along with Andrew, and we had, well, Andrew went in there for maybe 2 more than I was, but the 2013 and 14, I was there for those, and I was just like, this proves that we can have a PGA Tour golf course with the 4 major champions, which are the biggest winners of the whole year, and for it to come full circle now, and we've done it 3 years in a row with no hiccups. In my opinion, we could have this for the next 20, 30 years, if you ask me.
Yeah, actually, how long is this event here for initially?
So we signed a 5-year contract. So we're in year 4 of 5. So the negotiations we're in negotiations now and trying to figure that all out now. So, you know, hopefully all the people who are in those positions will, you know, see that we have a good product and will want to renew. So, you know, we'll see what happens in the next couple months.
Unequivocally, I would say it's been a success, and I think you know you guys have a good endorsement already in place, and hopefully it's you know, things go favorable.
I hope so.
You know, on that same line, you know, what are the benefits of having this event here for Bermuda?
Well, I'll say, you know, a big part of the tournament being here is our economic impact that we pay into the small business and into the economy. So through the last 4 years, we've paid over $7 million to local businesses, right? You know, and especially when coming through a time of COVID, where a lot of people weren't in a position to have, you know, the jobs and making the money that they are used to, you know, we were able to kind of give them that opportunity to keep the lights on and earn some money, you know. And then secondly, a big part of what we also do is charity. So through the last 4 years, we've done over $1.1 million towards charity on the island. And our goal this year is to raise $1 million on its own, you know. So, you know, we're excited. We're pleased and we're honored to be able to contribute to the Bermudian economy and the Bermudian people like we have so far.
And also the event is televised around the world, so there's other benefits, exposure for the island. You know, how many countries is it? You know?
We'll be well over 100 countries.
Wow.
Yeah. Golf Channel is our provider, and they're setting up now as we speak. You know, and we'll be seeing in over 100 countries. We'll have, I think, at least 20 hours of live coverage, and we're the only golf on TV that week. So there's no LPGA coverage, there's no Champions Tour coverage, there's no Corn Ferry coverage. It's just us. So anyone in the world who's going to be watching golf is forced to watch our golf event.
And also you mentioned it being a standalone. That also means that anyone can enter.
Yeah. So before we were a standalone event, that meant that the top 50 weren't allowed to come and play. So they would have to play the opposite field event. So that was the one that was in China. But because now we were granted a standalone status, anyone can come and play now. So, you know, at some point, hopefully we get a late entry this week, or you know, maybe next year we'll get a nice big player who, you know, nice recognizable name.
I'm still sharpening up my game, so don't come.
Okay.
Andrew, having this event here, has this inspired our youngsters?
Absolutely. For the most part, we hear a lot of people, oh, you work at the course where the PGA is, or you teach at the course where the PGA is, and that's huge. But I also, I'm one of the founders of Moongate Tour, which is a developmental tour that helps players get prepared for the qualifier and eventually the PGA event. So we've created avenues and channels that are permitting more competitive golf, and everybody in the golf industry that plays at this level, we've all benefited from it, myself included. One of my committee members here, hopefully one of my future committee members for year 2. But we've all benefited from playing and being a part of this team. So long story short, with the PGA being here, it gives us that big carrot that everybody's trying to grasp and everybody wants to hold. I have tried 4 years in a row, you know, and I haven't made it yet, but every year I've gotten better. Every year I've put in more work. I've developed. I've watched this gentleman transform. I'm really proud of my hair pro. Like his game is like just elevated as a result, direct result, in my opinion, of having this event and the qualifier that helps us get into this event. So I would have to say that a lot of the younger guys I see, Adam Perry, his up and coming Kenny Lejour, Oliver Batshot, who was literally strokes away from qualifying at 14 years old. So as far as the youth, they're definitely being impacted by the PGA event and golf growing in Bermuda. It's been phenomenal to be a part of it.
Well, don't go nowhere, folks. We'll be right back in just a moment.
This edition of Up Close with Colin Thompson is brought to you by the Port Royal Golf Course.